vying for one of the 8-0 slots. There could be either 2 or 3 undefeated players at the end of the day. We'll see what one of them will be, one of these 2 men. So we are underway with the match. VanMeter on left, Witten on the right. Witten with the die roll. He's going to start with Zergo Bellstriker. Great 1-drop for the deck.
And you can see how different is this with Chris on the play. Then Zach has to decide, even if he has Wild Slash, between killing the Elvish Mystic or playing a 1-drop.
Yeah. CVM with a turn 1 Mystic. It looks like he will have a turn 2 Courser or Death Mist if he wants it.
It's a very, very strong opening.
Maybe only 2 lands, so there are chances for hiccups. Probably see him go with something like Courser. For Zach, he swings in for 2. Chris goes down to 18. Second land. We'll try to keep the pressure up as much damage as he can get in. Chris's hand is 2 Elvish, so another Elvish Mystic, a second land, a Courser, a Death Mist Raptor, and a Whisperwood.
Very strong hand, but one that's very much leaning on his Elvish Mystic staying in play for a little while here.
Yeah. Zach's turn 2 play, no kill spell on the Mystic. It's a Dragon Fodder. That's a win for Chris, I assume?
Oh, for sure. I mean, Chris can't untap fast enough. He is so excited about getting his mana creature coming into the second turn.
Draws another Death Mist Raptor. He'll play another Elvish Mystic. Now, he may actually not have... No, he only had 1 land. That's huge.
Yeah, very risky keep here.
Yeah.
We'll see if Zach's able to punish him with any sort of removal spell.
I mean, if he has any burn spell, they're getting fired at the Mystics, right? So here we see a swing for 4. Chris will take it all. Cannot afford to lose those elves.
Yeah, I mean, he certainly can't block. He's missed his second land drop.
He'll be at 14 now. Does Zach take care of the elves? Yeah, Lightning Strike. You see he has things like Founder Street Denizen in hand. Not going to play any of them.
Yeah, the upside's too high here. If Chris misses again, it's almost certainly lights out.
And Chris doesn't miss. He hits here. It's a fetch land. It's going to take a lot of heat for it. Now, to be fair, Zach also missed lands. That's not nearly as bad for a Tarka Red, though.
And Zach's already got a board, and I believe he has Stoke the Flames in hand, which is a really potent turn potentially coming up for Zach, where he can play some stuff and stoke away the Courser Crucifix should Chris decide to go down that road.
What will be the 3-drop? You see 2 Death Mists and a Courser for Chris. Now, there's some advantage. He almost wants to go with a Death Mist. I wouldn't be surprised to see him do that this turn, because next turn he'd like to play Courser and get a shot at that free land.
For sure, and Death Mist blocks just as well this turn as Courser Crucifix, and that's the play that Chris is going to make.
Have Death Mist Raptor. Draw is another Foundry Street Denizen from Zach Witten. So see if he has a kill spell, wants to go for it. It'll take a lot of his resources, or he just wants to flood the board with creatures.
Well, with Stoke the Flames, he can do both.
Yeah. So here's the Foundry Street. Here's a Foundry Street. Here's a Stoke the Flames. Takes care of Death Mist. Zergo swings for 2. Chris down to 11. 2 cards remain in Zach's hand, but he is going to have a big next turn.
Especially now with 2 Foundry Street Denizens. A spell's very good, as that's probably kill something, and creatures are also very potent alongside the Foundry Street Denizens.
Elvish Mystic was the draw for Chris. No land. He will play Courser. Does he find land? Yes, he does. It's a Temple. He'll gain 1, go up to 12. Top card is a fetch land. Let's see if he wants to keep that. I bet he does. He just needs to hit Whisperwood.
It's awfully greedy to ship lands to the bottom at this stage. So,
all right, untap for Zach, and this could be the big turn. A lot of damage, and that's not a good sign. He's counting. Even just a Dragon Fodder is very good here. What a Dragon Fodder pushes through 7. And how about a Heel Cutter? Oh my, that's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That is 11 points of damage.
Yeah, that is 1 copy in the main deck, showing up at a pretty good time.
Well, here's 11 points. Courser can't block. Chris will go to 1, and maybe he gets that Whisperwood next turn, but that's not going to be enough to deal with Heel Cutter at all. He passes back. That was the last card that Chris wanted to see. Draws the land, sees a Xenagos, and there's no coming back from this one.
Even Rabble Master that turn, I mean, it's bad news.
But you have a chance.
You have a chance. I think Heel Cutter's too much to overcome.
Yeah, well, Chris, I mean, if Zach repeats last turn, that'll be the end.
Yeah, I mean, Whisperwood is a dead end. That's not saving Chris. And I don't think he has anything in his hand better than Whisperwood Elemental.
And we're on to Game 2. Game 1 for Zach Witten. 1 game away from that 8-0 start to our Season 2 Invitational.
And really important for Zach to get that game, to win the die roll in the first place.
Yep.
And then to pick up that game, because Post-board's going to get a lot more challenging.
Yeah, we'll get to that in a second. Now, one thing, we will have our Season 2 Invitational. Remember, we will get our third and fourth slots punched to the Slayers Championship this weekend. But if you want to get into one of the Invitationals and you want to get to the Players Championship, you're going to have to come to one of our, you're going to have to start coming to our events. We have our Season 3 schedule up, so that starts just after this event. And it's going to start with our Modern Grand Prix in Charlotte. That's next week. You and Cedric will be covering it. And then we go back to the Open Series.
Yeah, exactly. And technically, Season 3 starts tomorrow with the 2-day, $20,000 Modern Open Series event. After that, we're going to go to standard events in Indianapolis, Baltimore, and then Chicago for the first time in Standard Open Series history in the middle of July. We go to Richmond for Standard, then Legacy in Washington, D.C., a Standard Grand Prix in London, England, a Modern Open Series event in Charlotte, and then the Season 3 Invitational in New Jersey, Standard and Legacy as the Invitational formats with a 2-day, $20,000 Standard Open Series event August 28th through the 30th.
Yeah, so a lot of Magic to be played as we build toward our Season 3 Invitational. Remember, that one will be Standard and Legacy. This is our first Modern Invitational. We have 2 Modern Invitationals and 2 Legacy ones this year, and Standard at all of them.
Yeah, and Season 2 right here in Columbus, and then Season 4 at the end of the year. Those will feature Modern. And the Players' Championship, which format was just announced over at StarCityGames.com, will feature all 3 constructed formats through the tournament.
Now, remember, there is also, speaking of Modern, there's a playmat you get for showing up to any of the events in Season 3. That is this lovely feline. This is Tassipur the Golden Fang. You may have seen her show up a couple times in Legacy, especially in Grixis Delver.
Yeah, I mean, this is a very popular playmat from what I can gather on social media. There's a dog that's either a slave or just a happy dog, because dogs are just generally happy, hanging out with a mischievous cat. And this is free for everyone who signs up for one of the 2-day, $20,000 Open Series. All throughout Season 3, the dog's name is apparently Bananas.
That makes sense.
Life for Bananas seems pretty depressing,
Well,
but Bananas seems unaware of that, blissfully unaware, either through mind control or just because Bananas is a dog.
Well, what in the storyline? It's a zombie, right? Tassiger has mind control some zombies.
You're the one. You're always.
Yeah, I believe. Yeah. Okay. No. Okay. So what I'm saying, that's a rhetorical question. I'm actually telling you, it is a zombie that then they serve food on. Their slaves, zombie slaves that they chain up. They serve food on their head because they're the Sultai. They kind of were into that sort of. They do that.
Gotcha.
But
so
this time,
there you go.
So the dog is serving the cat here,
yes.
basically.
Sideboard time.
All right.
What's
so
Chris got
I said
over there?
Chris has some real good cards this matchup. All right. How does this sound? We have 1 Arc Lightning, check. 3 Nylea's Disciple, loving that one. 2 Hornet Nest.
Very solid.
Those all seem, so there's some other things you can use. I think those are the ones he goes to, but those seem like 6 cards that are all very high impact in this matchup.
Yeah, Arbor Colossus, Arc Lightning, Nylea's Disciple, and Hornet Nest all seem excellent to me. On the other side, there's Scouring Sands, a Searing Blood, 4 Roast, 4 Eidolon of the Great Revel, a Destructive Revelry, a Goblin Rattmaster, 2 Heel Cutters, and a Hall of Triumph. I really like the additional copies of Goblin Heel Cutter in this matchup. 4 copies of Roast seems like a no-brainer.
Roast seems great. I mean, Heel Cutter, we saw that was great last game. So in that sense, Zach has his own sideboard that's very good here.
Yeah, I think Chris is getting the way better end of it. I mean, he's got some cards that Zach just can't really recover from, except with very specific stuff.
How beatable is a Nylea's Disciple in this matchup?
In a lot of ways, that's the least of Zach's worries, because if Nylea's Disciple is for a lot, it means that Chris already has a board, and Zach has mostly lost the fight. Zach can also fight it with a Tarkus Command. He can fight the trigger that way. To me, the bigger problems are cards like Arc Lighting, Hornet Nest, and Arbor Colossus, which are very effective at locking up the ground either early on in the game or later on. Hornet Nest is the big one.
Yeah, Hornet. Ugh.
I mean, that's really Heel Cutter or bust. Or Zach Straw has to be exceptional playthrough.
Well, so normally it means he has to stop attacking until he has 1 lethal Alpha Strike. Because once you... It seems like there's very few lines that you can actually attack into a Hornet Nest and have anything good happen.
Yeah, there's some decks that have the power to punch through it after the Hornet Nest breaks, or maybe they're armed with flyers. There's workarounds kind of in this weird spot, but for Zach's deck, it is just an all-or-nothing proposition. You can't go halfway through a Hornet Nest and then try to beat the leftovers. Heel Cutter is very helpful to that end. That's a very nice response to Hornet Nest.
We saw the power of Hornet Nest, was it? Back at the last Standard Pro Tour, some teams playing red-green bees, knowing that they actually, with really out of respect to a Tarka Red for the event.
Yeah, I mean, Roast plus Hornet Nest is a nice little combo on your own end of the table.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot of bees.
Have you played against that deck when you've been playing your mono red?
I have not.
Red-green bees?
I've not run into that.
I feel like that's
Hornet Nest is good enough. I mean, the Roast at that point is just, I'm not beating Hornet Nest plus a removal spell in most games, so it's just kind of rub-ins at that point.
they're courting for Hornet. What
Right.
about like collected companying for multiple Hornets' nests?
Dude, that would be sweet. Wouldn't mind losing to that.
It'd be like, okay, sure.
At least it's sweet.
Yeah.
Better than just
that Siege Rhino.
Corsair, Pelucranos. Yeah, I've lost to those cards, hundreds of times. It's not exciting anymore. But collected company for 2 copies of Hornet Nest inside of combat.
Yeah, at least there's some cool points when you.
Yeah.
All right.
Someone's having a good time at least, Curious to see if Zach brought in the Eidolon, the Great Rebel. It does have spots of being okay in this matchup, especially if Chris's hand is without mana acceleration. But it's also something where it can punish Zach later in the game when his hand's cheap. Chris has a board of some expensive stuff and can start pressuring Zach ahead of schedule.
Yeah, that seems touchy. I mean, if you want it, it would certainly only be in a potential game 3. I don't think you'd want it on the draw.
Well, it's definitely a swing card. I mean,
Yeah,
you may want it anyway, but it's much better on the play than on the draw.
6 cards looks like for Zach Witten. It's got lands and spells. He'll go ahead and keep. So we are underway game 2. VanMeter down a game. And it looks like a 1-lander for Zach, where his only land is a Temple.
That Temple is painful. I mean, it looks like Zach's hand's just all 1-drops.
Radiclaw Mystic's the first play of the game from Chris. That's on turn 2. We go back over to Zach. Does not hit his land, so he's going to be operating 1 spell a turn, at least until he draws it. And it'll be a turn 2 Monastery Swift Spear, getting in for 1. And getting in for 0. Chris is just going to trade it.
Yeah, I think Chris's hand is a little bit on the cumbersome side. He's not really looking to ramp anything out. He's got Corsair and Nylea's Disciple, so
sure,
no harm in trading.
Let's suit up with green mana symbols. Corsair played off 3 forests, shows a forest on top. Back over to Zach. Does not draw a land. Here's Foundry Street Denizen, going to be the turn for the play. And
nice.
Yeah, this may just be. This may be a quick one. Whisperwood waiting on top for Chris.
I mean, it may take a while, but
it'll take as long as Zach wants to play it.
Exactly. We are going to be playing a 3rd game.
High risk hand with 5 1-drops and 1 Temple on the draw. That still seems like something you want to go for, though.
Yeah, it's hard to win on 5 cards with a deck like a Tarka Red. You need critical mass of stuff to make your deck work. But it did not pan out well for him, and now I believe we've reached the point of no return.
Nylea's Disciple is going to get hit by Lightning Strike. Zach does hit the mana for it, but I mean, just far behind here. Here's land 5. We know what's coming up. Whisperwood, Chris at 24.
Yeah, I mean, he's ahead in every facet of the game.
Yeah, it's 25.
Usually my threshold for conceding is, do I win if I stack my deck and stack my opponent's deck? I believe Zach has hit the point where that's no longer help.
No, yeah, I don't think he just beats the Whisperwood.
Yeah.
I mean, if Chris just doesn't attack for a really long time.
Sure.
Then probably still not.
There's always the opponent is suddenly brain dead scenario. But assuming that Chris, knows to attack with his 4/4 into your 1/1.
Yeah, land for Zach. And this is the kind of, so this was just, a gamble from Zach that didn't pay off. And there is some of this, especially on 6-card hands with a Tarka Red.
I don't mind the gamble, especially, with the land being a scry land, which means you have both colors of mana.
Yeah, if you're going to keep a 1-lander on the draw, would you rather have a Temple or just have a Mountain? I mean, his draw is slower, but it's less likely to whiff.
I would probably rather have the Temple.
Okay.
It's just, the Mountain allows you to play your 1-drops, but your 1-drops are on their own unlikely to beat any functional hand from Chris.
Big swing, 8 damage. Zach's chump blocking, takes 4, goes to 11, has no creatures. Chris, I think, is going to make another Whisperwood Elemental. Can manifest 2 more. Yeah, there we go, 2 more things. Here's an Elvish Mystic. He's not going to show that Hornet Nest, though.
Yeah, no reason to. Could influence how Zach sideboards.
Land, manifest. We'll see if Zach gets that information, see if he gets to see a board card here. But I guess that's what he's hoping for. Draws a guy, counts the damage. It's 6, 10. It's a boatload. is 17. There's a draw. Courser's the next card. All right, Zach gets as much information as he can and then concedes.
Learned what he could learn, and now we go to game 3.
Which wasn't much. I don't think he saw any board cards there. He saw Nailea's Disciple.
Yeah.
But there's not much you can, I guess that makes you more likely to hold Atarka's commands.
Yeah, you might play a little bit more passively with the Tarka's command and try to trap the Nailea's Disciple. But at the stage where Chris played the Nailea's Disciple, he just needed to cast something. So he wasn't so far ahead at that point that he could worry about concealing information. But once he got to the Whisperwood Elementals, Chris made some effort to conceal information from Zach. No reason to show the Hornet Nest at that stage.
All right, so go back to game 3. Zach's going to get to be on the play for this one, though. He said that die roll, important at winning game 1. He's going to come back for the 3rd game.
Yeah, I mean, this is how the matchup feels a lot from my side of it. Game 1 is close, is a huge deal to be on the play or on the draw. Game 2 rather, or whatever the sideboard game is that you're on the draw, you're likely to get mushed. It's just too hard to keep up with mana acceleration into quality 4 and 5 mana threats. And then if you're on the play for the 3rd game, your hands of removal plus good threats are often enough to keep Green Devotion off balance for long enough to piece together lethal.
Yeah, so it looks like Chris doing the tactic of shuffle up a 75, pull out 15 again.
Well, he's also got some cards that are potentially play-draw biased.
He's pulling out all the Xenagoses, it looks like here.
Yeah, Xenagos is a lot better on the play than it is on the draw. Even Dragon Lord Atarka probably left Chris's deck under any circumstances, but there's some other cards here that I feel are much, much more powerful for Chris when he's on the play than on the draw.
We see him actually have to keep cards like Genesis Hydra in, which I can't imagine is a great card in this matchup.
Well,
it's pretty expensive. But
you can at least cast it as a 2/2 or a 3/3. I mean, you know, obviously you would love to go crazy with it, but it's at least something he can cast early on. The same thing is not true of Dragon Lord Atarka, for example. Now, Chris may still want Dragon Lord Atarka, but it does run the risk of getting clogged.
Yeah. So one thing, if you are watching us a lot of it on twitch.tv, make sure to join the chat. This is our Twitch chat that we'll be running all weekend. One thing that we're doing, this is the exclusive subscriber-only chat for the weekend. But it's for $4.99 a month. You can join the chat with us. We have custom emoticons and badges for each person. And really fun ones, too. Commentators, some of our SCG animals. We see our slow play turtle. My favorite is the jetpacked steampunk penguin with flying.
Twitch.tv/SCG Live. Hop in the feature match area right now. Subscriber-only chat. Some quality control. And it comes with these emoticons, with more coming down the pipeline.
All right. So getting back into our match, and we'll have that going all weekend. Remember, this is a 3-day coverage, so tomorrow we'll have our day 2 coverage, rounds 9 through 16. And then the full top 8, those are best of 5 matches in Modern between the top players of the event. That'll be Sunday.
Very excited. Again, this is the first time that we've had the Invitational display Modern as a format. This is right before Grand Prix Charlotte, which will also be Modern. So we're really happy to be able to have the spotlight on this format for a couple weeks.
Yeah, Modern is just great, too. I'm such a huge fan of it.
I've unfortunately gotten to play very little of it. I think I've played in about, I want to say 3 Grand Prix, 4 Grand Prix, and a little bit of the PTQ level play, just because, Modern uptick in popularity has sort of coincided with me broadcasting a lot more than playing. But I do enjoy covering the matches very much.
Yeah, I don't get a chance to play it as much as I did. I said last time before, finally got a chance to find there was a Modern IQ in my area. Managed to play that. Those things are great, by the way. If you haven't a chance to find one in your area, they were a lot of fun.
Yep.
Some high level competition in tournaments without having to travel too far for it. I think it was half an hour.
Oh, that's sweet. Good prizes, good competition.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
We get here for game 3. So Zach, we said won game 1. Got pretty far ahead as Chris stumbled, and this deck punished the stumbles so well. Game 2 was Zach stumbling.
So really the ideal opening hand for Zach here is 2 mountains, 2 1-drops, and a Wild Slash. That's going to be that's the winning recipe right there. Something that can kill an Elvish Mystic or a Rattleclaw Mystic, and a start that can apply some pressure.
So is Sylvan Caryatid just better than Rattleclaw in this matchup because it can't be Wild Slash?
By leaps and bounds, it also blocks better. That's a huge swing in the matchup. If Chris has Rattleclaw Mystic as his turn 2 mana acceleration, he's actually in trouble in games where he's on the draw. When it's Caryatid, he's fine.
Looks like, see where the players are keeping here. so much of the decision in this matchup is on the mulligan.
Yep. Oh, and you had to, both decks had to mulligan very aggressively. You saw game 1 and in game 2, the losing player die with a lot of cards left in their hand.
Yeah. Temple is the start for Zach. No turn 1 creature, but looks like he has a fair amount of removal. Searing Blood, Stoke the Flames in his hand. No turn 1 mana creature for Chris either. He does, what Chris has kept looks like it's a hand based on 2 Nylea's Disciples, and for Zach it may be more of game 2. He scryed to the bottom, played Boundary Street Denizen, and did not hit his second land again.
It looks like he's kept a hand with Wild Slash and Searing Blood, though, so he does have some answers to some mana creatures,
but not Sylvan Caryatid.
Yeah, that's the big swing card in the matchup at this stage of the game.
Draws Atarka's Command, plays Zergo Bellstriker. That'll be it. He'll swing him. Chris will take, he'll block. No tricks there as we go back over to VanMeter. Wow, and this is just, looks like we might have a repeat of game 2. It's Courser of Kruphix for Chris. If he finds a land here, his devotion is getting, to red is getting very, or to green is getting very big. These Nylea's Disciples are going to be huge.
Yeah, this is another, I almost feel like we are at the point of no return very early on again. Even if Zach is able to follow up with removal spells for the Courser, and I don't believe he's drawn a land this turn.
Still on 1 mana. Zergo will swing. He is willing to trade Zergo plus Wild Slash for Courser, and as a show of strength, Chris not even going to let him.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of those spots where Chris is in really good shape either way he plays it.
Draws Nykthos, and this is going to be a massacre. Plays Nykthos, goes to 20. Nylea's Disciples at the ready. May not even need them yet. He might just make more green creatures.
And I can understand the logic of Zach keeping this hand because he's got an opportunity to scry for another land. He's got Wild Slash with answers, some mana acceleration. The problem is that if your hand is that slow, as you see Chris here with a Nylea's Disciple and a board full of devotion.
Nykthos, yep, gaining 6.
If your hand's that slow, you're going to lose to Green Devotion just making its land drops and playing 3 and 4 mana spells. You have to get them in a position where you have some early aggression, and then you're keeping their mana off balance. But if you just sit there and play draw go with them, trying to answer their mana creatures as it comes up, you're not going to win that game.
Yeah, the Wild Slash chase here, Rattleclaw, it's a minus the devotion by 1, but Chris going to gain 7 at least next turn. And yeah, no more lands for Zach. Still on 1 land. We saw him play it out to the bitter end last time. I imagine he will do it again, but I don't see a way that he gets this anymore.
Yeah. Chris is just going to win with the beatdowns.
A little bit of an anticlimax here, but for Chris VanMeter, it's going to be an 8-0 start to day 1. That is his best start in an invitational to date.
Yeah, I mean,
for his first big finish there.
Still looking for his first top 8 in the invitationals. It is startling to think that Chris does not have a finish like that just yet, but you know, nothing's guaranteed. Day 2 is still going to be a challenge, but it looks like he's going to be undefeated at the end of this.
Yeah, even just with the board, I'm not sure Zach can beat the board anymore. No. Green Red Devotion and Amulet Bloom. Those were his decks of choice here. Each with a 4-0 record.
So many good paths for Chris this turn.
Yeah, it's just hard to choose between them. I mean, he can Death Mist, Nykthos, then make Nylea's Disciple.
I think that I like Courser plus Death Mist Raptor this turn, but it's all good.
Well, if he was going to do that, he shouldn't have played the land already.
Yeah, I think Chris probably has a different line set up here.
I don't think the game is demanding on him to make optimal decisions anymore.
I still appreciate Chris going and trying to figure out what his line of play is. You know, you never want to take anything for granted, but.
So Nykthos is for 5. That's going to be Death Mist Raptor, using 3 of it. 4 more. That's going to be the Nylea's Disciple. That gains 1, 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. Chris up to 35.
Yeah, this is good too. I mean,
sure.
it's all good.
33s and
top deck.
There you go. And there you go. Chris VanMeter at 8-0. Zach Witten, though, we'll see more of him. 7-1 now. When he goes back to Modern, I believe he's playing Grixis Delver.
Yeah, and Grixis Twin, perhaps. Some
Grixis deck. Yeah, I don't know if it's Twin or Delver. You're right.
Listen, 7-1, a great run. I don't think this matchup is particularly good for Atarka Red. Zach's draws in the post-board games did him no help. And Chris, pretty solid draw there, game 3.